going to run the intro.
Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
नमस्कार सम्पूर्णमा सबैजना कृपया आफ्नो स्थानमा बस्न आग्रह गर्छु अबको हाम्रो सेसन भने हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर ज्याकलिन कर्बेक उहाँको आज कीनोट स्पिकर उहाँले आफ्नो प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नुहुनेछ र यो प्रस्तुति अङ्ग्रेजी भाषामा हुनेछ यसको बारेमा डाक्टर ज्याकलिन कर्बेकको बारेमा थप कुरा बताउनुको लागि म डाक्टर सङ्गीता स्वेच्छालाई स्टेजमा नियुक्त गर्छु
Namaste, good afternoon, and welcome back everyone. I'm Sangeeta Swechha, and first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, who is here for her keynote speech today. Jacalyn will be speaking about elevated listening, and tomorrow as well she's participating as a panelist in our panel discussion on book publishing and marketing. And thank you, Jacalyn, for accepting our invitation. Before your keynote speech, I'm going to introduce you a little bit. The title of the keynote speech Dr. Jacalyn is delivering is The Power of Elevated Listening and Writing, Storytelling, and Human Connection. To tell about Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, she is the founder, president, and chief listening officer of Global USA TV and Radio, a global streaming television and radio network broadcasting to audiences in more than 60 countries. Known internationally as the listening mentor, Dr. Jacalyn is the creator of Elevated Listening, a communication framework focused on authentic dialogue, leadership, communication, and human connection. Dr. Jacalyn is also an Amazon #1 best-selling author, keynote speaker, certified executive coach, and the recipient of the YouTube Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers on a media network channel. She trains individuals around the world on camera presence, broadcasting, and communication excellence, while continuing her executive studies in strategy through the Wharton Cup School Chief Strategy Officer Program. Thank you, Jacalyn, for accepting our invitation. Before that, I would also like to tell a little bit about Jacalyn and our connection. It's called the geophone. I know Jacalyn, Dr. Jacalyn, for the past 2 years now. I met her while I was giving presentation in the UK Parliament. Sorry about this. I was telling about how Jacalyn has come to this, accepted this invitation and come to this event. I met Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck around 2 years back during an event in the UK Parliament, where I was also presenting a paper on the International Women's Day on the occasion of the International Women's Day. And while I was presenting, Dr. Jacalyn was next to me, and we got introduced to each other at the time. We exchanged our contact details, and since then, we've been in touch. And Dr. Jacalyn has given me opportunity to be interviewed in her television on Global USA TV a couple of times. I was there for the Corner Bookstore program, and also last month I had opportunity to be interviewed, and another 2 more shows I'll be speaking on her television. So I've been very fortunate, and in fact, this is very much good news for us, promoting the Nepali literature to some extent, giving this opportunity to promote Nepali literature through Global USA TV, which goes to our 100 countries. Thank you, Jacalyn, for accepting our invitation and coming to this event, and also accepting to speak as a keynote speaker, as well as tomorrow. I look forward to your presence as a panelist, and we'll be talking more about the book. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I am very honored to be here today. And I just wanted to start off with a brief story. So about 35 years ago, some of you might not have even been born then, I was sitting across from a gastroenterologist at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was with my mother. And he gave me the sad but true news that I have ulcerative colitis. And I thought it was a death sentence, to be honest with you. It's an incurable disease, it's a chronic disease. And so my life changed forever. And I started living a life that was filled with shame, embarrassment, constantly being judged, and people thought that they had a solution to help me feel better. Why don't you take Pepto-Bismol, or is it something that you're eating, or you need to change your diet? And then I was dating, and I was told, oh, you're disgusting, you have that disease because it has a bad reputation. It's called the bathroom disease. And so I started becoming a shell of myself. Okay. I started becoming a shell of myself. Let's turn this one off. Thank you. And I found that people were not listening to what I had to say. I was trying to share that I was in pain, that I was struggling. And so everyone wanted to fix me. Has anybody else ever felt like that, where you just want someone to listen and everybody has things that they want to do to help you? Raise your hand, please. Okay, a lot of people here today. So I started thinking to myself, I really want to find out how I can get people to listen to what I have to say. So in 2018, I found the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, or they found me. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting across from people who have similar situations to me. And all of a sudden, I'm not a strange person. I'm not somebody that is marked with this horrible disease. And so I started thinking, how can I give people a voice to share their story? And so I started on the radio, and I had a show called Stories of Adversity and Overcoming Things That You Didn't Expect, Hope and Inspiration. And it was booked out for a year. And then I started going over social media, Facebook and YouTube, and that show was booked out for a year. And then people came to me and they said, I have a story to tell. Can I tell my story? And so more and more people were coming from around the world to share their voice. And so what is it that we need as humans? We all know how to talk, but we don't know how to listen. Some of you might not be listening right now. Some of you might be here physically, but mentally, you're somewhere else. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today, is about the power of human connection. How do we, across platforms that are worldwide, social media, we can go, and we're live streaming right now on USA Global TV and Radio. We're on 15 different platforms right now. How can we get our message across and at the same time still be heard? So I started writing books. And as of today, from 2021, I believe I have 28 books that have been published. And I want to thank Mr. Red O'Loughlin. Red, stand up, please. Red is my book coach, and he is my publisher, and he has trained me. And so now the last 2 books I've published myself. So thank you, kind sir. Tomorrow, Red is a panelist. You'll be able to enjoy a conversation between Red Sangeeta and myself. So today is all about how can we learn how to listen and incorporate it into our writing. Because as writers, we are storytellers. But in order to tell a story, we have to be able to listen. And many times, if I were to survey this room, in fact, I'm going to just impromptu, put your hand up if you think you are an excellent listener. Raise the hand. You are an excellent listener. We've got almost the whole room raising their hands. Well, I'm here to tell you that I appreciate your confidence, but I guarantee that you're not as good a listener as you think you are. And part of the reason is because we want to believe we're fully present. We want to believe we're actually giving someone else the space to share. Well, we can't because we're so distracted. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so we have a crisis all over the world in so many ways, right? We're from different countries, different cultures. We speak different languages. Maybe English is not your first language. And we look and we see, okay, look what's going on in this country. Look what's going on here. What's really going on is that we have a crisis in communication because we're not listening to one another. If the people who are leading our countries, if they were to sit down and actually not have an agenda, but just be open to hearing, think about where things might be able to go. But instead, we all have an agenda. It's like I have a presentation today. It might go totally off script. It doesn't matter because I'm here as a gift. And thank you to Sangeeta for inviting me so that I can teach you some of the things that I've learned by feeling like I've not been heard for so much of my life. And I'm sure that many of you also feel that way. So if we can learn how to listen, things can change in so many positive ways. We can take what we learned to listen and we can put it into our writing. We can put it into our storytelling. We can take our stories to the next level. So if you're on social media, raise the hand, please. Okay, again, a lot in the room. We have so many ways to communicate, so many different channels where we can share information. And I'm also a peace ambassador. And one of the things that I talk to people about is the fact that when you see a post, how are you engaging with the post? Are you liking something that is filled with hatred, anger, anxiety? Are you forwarding it? If you are, you're helping to perpetuate the hatred and the anger, whether you realize it or not. Sometimes we are so upset about something. Oh, let me put it on social media. Oh, let me take a picture of this happening and I'm not happy about it. Or the other way, let me take a picture of how beautiful and perfect my life is for that 1 second so that I can get everybody's attention. It's almost like a struggle. It's like a fight. But at the core, as humans, what I have found is we all want to feel safe. We want to feel heard. We want to feel respected. And in order to do that, we have to break those shackles of feeling that we are not enough, that we don't have enough, that what we have to say doesn't matter. But we have to start by being a good listener. The world is more connected than it's ever been. And by the way, there's a slideshow here on the side if you want to take a peek every now and then. But even though we're more connected than ever, we're more disconnected. With the television network, USA Global TV and Radio, we interview people all the time who are down and out. They are filled with sadness, anxiety, some of them suicidal. Many people on prescription drugs or doing other things just to be able to cope because they feel that they're not loved and that they don't matter. So I want you to think of a time in your life when you felt like you didn't matter. When all you wanted was for someone to listen to what you had to say, and instead they wanted to fix you. Or maybe they said, you know what? It's your own fault. I knew this was going to happen to you. You always do your own thing. You listen to your own voice and you don't hear what anybody else says. That's not really helpful. We'll find out. Okay, so the way we live today, everything's fast. You've got to respond fast. You've got to post fast. How many of us are posting today, right? We're taking videos, we're taking photographs, we're putting them on social media, and we look and see how many likes did we get? Do we have any new followers? You know, what is this post doing? And am I really popular because of this post? Well, what does it all mean? Some of the platforms like TikTok and Instagram, you can go on and find people with millions and millions of subscribers. And I've had some people come to our platform and they've told me they're not making a dime. They've bought a lot of the followers. You know, you can hire companies to actually get you fake followers. And so I say, well, what does it all mean? And it always comes down to the same thing. They feel unseen in their own life, so that if they can feel seen by the unknown masses of people, they feel a little bit better about themselves. We are easily distracted. There's so much going on. And according to this Wharton study, I'm currently in the Wharton, University of Pennsylvania, their Chief Strategy Officer program, 47% of the time, we're not even present. Our mind shifts constantly. Think about, since I first started to speak, maybe you started thinking about something else. Maybe you're like, when's she going to shut up? Why is she wearing that dress? Who is she? Why is she here? Right? We all these things that come into our mind. So we're easily distracted, and we can't blame ourselves because we're human. That's the way the human mind works. But we can train ourselves to actually give somebody our full and undivided attention. But before we do that, my friends, it starts with us. We have to respect ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to stop looking for external validation. Oh, what does he or she think about what I have to say? Why does it matter? If you really believe in yourself, and maybe you believe in a higher power, do you really have to ask 15 people what they think about what you have to say or what you're wearing or where you're going? No. And the older we get, I'm 63 now, I really don't need anyone else's opinion because I've gone through a lot of things in my life. And that's not to be disrespectful. It's really just to be, yeah, I've arrived, my friends. Thank you. Okay, so attention is a resource like many other things. We only have so much attention to give. So I want you to think about, where are you giving your attention? How many phone calls do you have? And you get off the phone and you say, well, that was an hour of my life and that accomplished nothing because so-and-so is always doing whatever so-and-so is doing and calling me and telling me about it, or so-and-so broke up with somebody. And you start to add up the hours of wasted time where nothing actually happens. So you want to pay attention to, how are you spending your time? I've written a book which is available later today. It's called Stop Giving Away Your Value. And it has a lot to do with setting boundaries. Setting a boundary. Maybe you have a problem with attention and you know that. So you want to take that precious time and spend it in ways that bring you value. As we all know, we're not getting out of this thing alive, right? So let's take the time that we have and spend it in ways that bring us joy. And to me, finding joy means being at peace. Being in a place in your heart where you're at peace. And if each and every one of us felt peaceful, I believe there'd be more peace in the world. We're going to talk today about some of these things like multitasking and digital overload. I've already mentioned that sometimes we are present, but we're really not. Maybe we are daydreaming. Maybe we have to go to the restroom and we're trying to think of a great time to get up, which, by the way, you can get up anytime you want. Maybe we are just scrolling aimlessly through our phone. So be aware that even though you may be sharing something really important to you with someone else, they may not be fully present. And so that's something that I always talk about, which is called setting boundaries and asking permission. That's another keynote. But basically just saying, would now be a good time for me to talk to you? I need about 10 minutes to share something. And you can say, you know what, I'm in the middle of a presentation right now. This isn't a good time. But we're always afraid to say no. But when you start realizing that you want to give someone your undivided attention, you know what? I do have 15 minutes for you right now. Doesn't that make you feel good? As opposed to me saying I have 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm doing a million other things. You feel it. You know it when people aren't present. So it starts with us. So listening requires more than just being in a chair or sitting across from someone or being on the phone. Okay, this is what I mentioned about my new book. And I wrote this because I found that I was giving away a lot of my value. And we all have value. I want you to recognize that. That is not coming from a place of ego. We all are on this earth for a reason, and we all have value. And so deciding what you're going to do with your time is a mature thing. It's not an egotistical thing. And if you are doing something at the moment, you cannot be physically, mentally present for someone else. And people get that feeling. They know when you're not paying attention to them. Has anyone ever felt that way, that you're talking to someone and they were not there? Many times. It doesn't feel good. Okay. Just because you are seen in a certain role, you are visible in that role, doesn't mean that you're creating presence. And what do I mean by that? Social media, for example. Just because you have X number of people following you doesn't mean that you're changing anyone's behavior, because the only one who can change your behavior is who? You. Thank you. You're the only one. So just because you keep showing up, even in your home life, just because you wake up and you exist and you're in the same home with someone, doesn't mean that you're actually creating value, that you're actually being present. You're just on autopilot. And that's what many times we find in our relationships in life. It's this person serves a certain role and I serve a certain role. And we get to know what those roles are, but that doesn't mean that we're happy. It doesn't mean that we're peaceful. It doesn't mean we're filled with joy. It just means that we're doing the same thing because we're afraid of change. Change means setting a boundary and saying, this no longer serves me. Setting a boundary and saying, this is what I find joyful. I'm going to continue doing it because I feel joyful. We're going to do a role play right now, and I think I have two willing participants. If you would join me up here on stage, please. Okay, this role play is really important, and I wanted to do it live because it happens all the time. You approach someone, and I'll tell you just a minute, they have their head down. They're in front of you. Maybe they're at a desk. They're in the kitchen, they're wherever they are. And you come up and you start talking to the back of their head. Blah, 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 blah. And you actually think that they can hear what you're saying. And then you say, you don't seem to be listening. How can they be listening? You're talking to the back of their head. So this role play, we're going to have Marilyn stand in front. We're going to have Brent stand behind. And Marilyn, you are going to list as many of the U.S. states as you can. And Red, you are going to talk about your new book, Aging Sucks. So I want you to just focus on what you're doing, and then we'll see how it felt. And go ahead.
Aging sucks.
Florida, Mississippi,
Long time ago, I
Louisiana,
realized it's a
Texas,
battle between two.
Florida,
One, our
California,
ability to repair
Phoenix,
the damage that happens every single
Missouri,
second, every
North
day.
Dakota, South
And when you look
Dakota,
at what happens
Washington,
at the
Virginia,
molecular level, these are
South
things that you
Carolina, North
think you have no
Carolina.
control over.
All right, thank you. Very good. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, wait, before you sit down, how did that feel? Marilyn, how did that feel?
I was just concentrating too hard to remember states.
Did you hear anything he said?
I did. I just heard noise.
That's a great word, noise. Thank you. And how about you?
A little the same. I was so concentrated on the back of her head, trying to talk through her head to her face, that I was having difficulty putting the words into my mouth, and I occasionally hear Louisiana or Oklahoma or something. What's going on?
All right, thank you.
I didn't mention that.
Oh, see, she didn't even mention. And that brings me to another point, which I've done this myself. You're really not listening to someone, and they'll say, you weren't listening. And you'll say, you know what? I heard what you said. And you heard the very last part of it, whatever it might be. And they go, well, what's the rest of it? And you say, I don't know. Then you blame it on them. It's always a blame game. So I want you to remember that the next time you walk up behind someone, even here at a conference, they can't possibly understand and pay attention to what you're saying because they're doing something else. Now, is it rude to expect someone to drop what they're doing? Why should they drop what they're doing? Because you're more important? I've seen this. People throw tantrums. They start jumping up and down. Why won't you listen to me? Did you ask permission? Did you have respect to see that they were already doing something? We want it when we want it. So I'm asking you to think about this in a different way, because what's the ultimate goal? It's not a power struggle. It's about finding peace and joy. So you can do what you're doing, and you can say, you know what you have to say is very important to me, and I want to be able to give you my undivided attention. How about in 15 minutes? How about in an hour? How about next week? Whatever might make sense. And they're not going to like it because they want you to give your attention at that moment. But we've just watched, we cannot do it. So set a boundary in a very nice way. You're very important to me. What you have to say is very important to me. And I want to give you my undivided attention. And then give them an option. 15 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. Sound fair? Okay, thank you to our volunteers. Okay, we're going to talk about storytelling. How many of you are storytellers in this room? I would think almost everyone is, right? Raise your hand, you're all storytellers. That's right. Storytellers. Okay, so what happens when you're telling a story and no one's actually listening to it? How do you feel? Yeah, you feel frustrated, you feel disappointed, you feel sad. My uncle, who passed away 3 years ago, right after my mom, actually, he was a great storyteller. And I love his stories. He was president of real estate for Sears and Roebuck, if you remember them. Wherever they had a store, a Sears store go, he was the one who signed for the lease. And he had great stories. And his family had heard the stories a million times, but I never got tired of hearing his stories because he always put something new in it. So there is an art form to being a storyteller. But what good is your story if there's no one to listen? If I'm telling you a story and the first thing you're thinking is, I can't wait to tell her my story. You know what? I have a similar story. That's called stage hogging. And we're going to get into that in a moment. It's almost like, imagine I'm up here on the stage and you just come and just knock me off and now you're on the stage. And I'm sitting there with my story that I never got to share because you stole it from me. There are all these little things that we do that are really ego-based or even based on fear or feeling invisible, that we've got to get our story out. So think about what's coming up for you as I'm describing this. Writers are not only writers, but they are listeners of the human experience. That's what we're really putting when we're putting pen to paper or we're typing over it. We're telling a human experience. And whether people are reading it or it's an audiobook or maybe it becomes a movie or it's a documentary, we need people to listen. Because if nobody's listening, what's the point of doing it? Now, sometimes it feels cathartic to be able to share a story, get it out of your system, so to speak. But we want to know that it's making a difference because I already shared with you. We want to feel heard. We want to be seen. We want to know that we matter. And if we are invisible, then we're not mattering. Before a story is written, spoken, translated, published, or remembered, someone first had to listen. Great writers are also great observers. So we notice things. Okay, I'm putting myself in there. I'm saying that I'm a great writer, and I'm saying everybody here is a great writer. We are very observant. I'm observant of your behavior right now. You're probably observant of my behavior. This is what we do as humans. We observe one another. And when there's silence, silence can be used as a tool. It's a very strong negotiating tool. If both people are silent, the first one to speak usually loses. If you are unhappy with how the situation's going or something in a relationship, if you're silent, that silence makes a difference. That can be stronger than any words that you could possibly use. So we as writers know when to be silent, as keynote speakers, when to put in a pause. We also know about tension and contradiction, longing, memory, a lot of human emotions that we actually get to describe. Why do we have stories? Because they preserve humanity. Because our stories live on long after we do. There will be stories from this event. There will be new connections and new relationships and hopefully new tools and tips that you'll be able to take away from this. And so you'll want to be able to put it down in paper and pen. Maybe it'll be in your next book. Maybe it will be in your next story that you share with someone, why you came to this event and what came from it. And stories span generations. They span cultures. As I mentioned, not everyone speaks English as a first language. Last night, I was attending the event, and honestly, I didn't understand anything that was going on, but I knew that we were doing introductions and celebrating people. So we can read human body language, but maybe we don't know the nuances, but we can understand. Today, people were being recognized, right? It was a beautiful thing. Wearing this is an honor, right? We know that. It's about respect. People know when you respect them, and they know when you don't respect them. They can feel when you're talking about them behind their backs. They can feel when you're judging. It's not a pretty place to be. And it all falls under listening. It starts with the story that I shared with you of a young girl named Jackie who's told that she's a chronic incurable disease. And the first thing I thought to myself is, no one will ever love me. No one will think I'm sexy. No one will think I'm attractive. And because I really believed it, I only attracted people who treated me like that. I attracted what I put out into the world. So I hope that you're listening to this part. Whatever it is you put out there is typically what you get back. And what I've experienced so far at this conference is, even though I don't speak your language, I feel the passion and I feel the respect that all of you have. It's evident. Namaste, namaste. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So you're ahead of the game. So congratulations for that. So I want to talk about what listening actually does if you're a good listener. When can you remember a time in your life you felt like someone actually heard you? Does anyone have a story they'd like to share? We're all listening. No. Okay. But you remember. That's okay. You remember when you felt heard. You might even remember the name of the person. You might remember exactly where you were when you knew someone heard you. Mine was in a restaurant, and I was meeting with the then president of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And I got to the restaurant and I said, I just want to let you know, I can't eat anything. I can't drink anything. I might have to run to the bathroom and I might not come back. And he said, I understand. I have the disease myself. I thought, oh my gosh, like someone actually sees me. And I started to cry because I felt like I'm actually with someone who gets what is going on with me. And from that day on, it changed my life. His name is Michael Traeger. So you might have a Michael Traeger in your life, and I hope you do. I hope that you become the Michael Traeger for someone else, because it really does make a difference. Stories create a sense of belonging. You read something, maybe you've seen something, it's a movie, it's a documentary, and you can relate to it. It's kind of like, okay, that happened to them, it also happened to me. And it gives you that sense of community. And community is a beautiful thing. What I want you to remember most importantly is, regardless of your situation, regardless of what experience you have, regardless of whether you felt like you have been listened to, whether you feel like you've been valued, you matter. Each and every one of you matter. And listening to yourself is where it all starts. Because if you don't like to listen to the voice that's inside you, you'll always be searching for something. And you'll be looking for someone else to give it to you. There's an expression we have in the States, which is, I'm looking for my better half. I don't want half a person, do you? We want a whole person. We want a whole person meeting another whole person and coming together. Not looking for half of a person, right? Yeah. So if you are in situations in your life that you feel like only half of you matters, that you serve a role, you're in a function, but no one actually is listening to you, might be time to address it. Might be time to address it in a respectful manner. And I always suggest using these words. I feel this when you do that. I feel unseen when you tell me that I'm a loser. Whatever the situation is, you put it in this way so that someone can understand. And if it gets to the point where it's repeated, I'm not a therapist, but it might be time to check out. It might be time to say goodbye to that relationship and cross it off. Because you matter. And every day the clock is ticking. You matter. When are you going to make a change? Today, this minute. I talked in the beginning about a number of people who have come to our network to share their story. We love stories of the underdog, of people who have turned around their whole life, but there's some people that are not able to turn it around. There's some people who are in a crowd and feel completely isolated and alone. There might be somebody here today. There might be someone who feels like they don't fit in. Wherever they go, they always feel like an outsider. That's a horrible place to be. No one has listened to them. If you were to sit back and give them time, just ask them an open-ended question. How can I help? What's going on with you? And not speak. You might be surprised what they would share. But if your comeback is, I always knew that about you. You know what you need to do? You know what your problem is? Please try to eliminate these phrases from your life because they are very judgmental. And what you're doing is you're putting distance between you and the other person because they wanted to feel safe, they wanted to feel heard, and you basically pushed them away. By the way, it looks like this computer is going low, so I'll just go off the cuff. It's okay. Okay. One thing that we realize as humans, and I think this is the whole way that Clubhouse came about. Was anyone on, or is anyone on the Clubhouse app that came about? It was an audio only app during the pandemic. Okay, so Clubhouse became very popular because it was during the pandemic. We were all in a lockdown. We were afraid to go near anyone. And so you could actually go into these meeting rooms where it was audio only, and you could be sitting next to some of the biggest celebrities in the world, some of the most well-known motivational speakers. When I say sitting, it's in an audio only environment, but you got access to people that you never had access to before. And so this app really took off. And so it kind of broke down the barriers that you couldn't reach out to somebody who had this title or this label. And the realization was that we're all human beings. That's what we all have in common. It doesn't matter what house we live in, what car we drive, what title we have, what degrees. We are all human beings living a human experience. And as writers, I want you to remember that your story matters. Your observations matter. Put them down on with pen and paper, or talk into your phone, whatever it is. Get the stories out. You can even chat with ChatGPT or artificial intelligence to get your stories out. When you don't share your stories, what happens? Any ideas? That's right. Inside, like an inferno, and it starts burning up and burning up and burning up. So the only one you're hurting is yourself. Our society, our well-being, our world, we are seeing more and more young people who are diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, for example, Crohn's disease, depression, all of these things that just seem to be mounting more and more, which is a complete dichotomy, because if we have more ways to communicate than ever, why is it that we have such mental health issues across the world? Because we're not being heard. So I'm going to turn this around and tell us what we can do so that we can all feel heard. Okay. Next, we have a role play with our 2 stars. Can you please come up here? Now, the reason why I want to do this role play is because this happens quite a bit. You're sitting across from someone, you're sitting next to someone, you have your phone out, they have their phone out, both people are looking at their phones and thinking this is a meaningful conversation. And it's not. Okay, take your phones out, please. Okay, Red, I would like you to look up the exchange rate for the US dollar to the rupee. Is it rupee? Yeah. Nepali rupee. Look up that, please. And I'd like you, please face each other. Face the audience, yes. I'd like you, Marilyn, to look up. Attention, we have some people up here who are doing a demonstration. Please look up the population of Denver and the elevation of Denver. You see this all the time. 2 people on their phones, instead of talking to one another, looking up information that isn't really relevant. When you're across from someone, you get that opportunity to speak, but you're looking at your phone. So I encourage you, while you're at this conference, are you standing in front of someone with your phone? Please put it away, because you know what they feel like you're saying? It don't matter. Whatever's on this phone matters. Or how you doing over here?
I'm just going to tell her I love her.
Ah, that's sweet. Okay, 152. All right, how did it feel to be standing in front of all these people, looking at something on your phone?
Never saw anything.
Never saw. Okay, so you
Isolated from everything.
Okay.
I heard you, I see people, but I didn't hear you. I didn't.
And that's what happens. Thank you. That's exactly what happens. He tuned everything out. Marilyn, anything you'd like to share?
I was just trying to I'm not really good at that, so I was just trying to do.
Okay, so you had checked out also. You both checked out.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you. All right, thank you for being here. So remember that the next time you are with someone, are you on your phone? Do you need to be on the phone? Is there something pressing at that exact moment that you have to be on the phone? Thank you to our role players. Now, I'm going to talk to you about something I'm very excited about. It's called elevated listening, which I have trademarked. Does elevated listening mean that I am standing on a stage looking down at someone? No. Doesn't mean I'm wearing 6-inch heeled shoes. No. It means taking listening to a new level. And my hope is that all of you today will walk away with at least 1 or 2 of these that you will start to incorporate in your life that is going to show in your writing. Okay, do I have everyone's attention? Thank you. The 4 pillars of elevated listening are listening without interruption. Interruption can be as subtle as this. No, please don't do it. No. Just listen. Let them finish saying what they have to say. Now, you might be thinking, so-and-so rambles on. So-and-so doesn't know when to stop. Take a break, and I'm sitting here. You have to set a boundary. Anytime and every time you have a conversation, even here, just walking up to someone, do you just walk up and start blurting whatever it is you want to blurt? It's be a good time for us to get to know one another. Actually, no, I'm doing a presentation, but I'd love to chat to you tonight. Would that be all right? Okay, thank you. That wasn't hard to do, but we don't do it. Instead, we just start talking and talking and talking, and then the person walks away and says, please let me hide from that person the rest of the conference because they won't stop talking. Okay, so without interruption, without problem solving is one that happens a lot, and men in the room, you do it more than women because from what I've read from the research, men feel value. I have a problem with my bathtub. It's overflowing. First thing, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you call this person? I've got the phone number for a plumber. And all I wanted was for someone to listen. But we don't listen because we think, I know what she needs. How would you know what I need? I don't know what you need. Even if I know you really well, I don't know what you need. I have to ask. May I share my opinion? I have an idea. Oh, no, actually, I don't want to hear your opinion. I just want you to listen. That's okay. That is progress because the person who's coming up with the solution, it's exhausting. Any of you in the room who are good problem solvers, you've got the weight of the world. She always comes to me for solutions. It's like you got to keep coming up with them. You're like the juggler. You got to keep going. It's exhausting. Imagine if you could stop doing that and just listen. Now, you can set it up in advance by saying, I'm more than happy to listen. Are you looking for a solution or do you just want me to be here for you? Here's your answer. I just want you to be there for me. Thank you very much. And then please don't add, of course the tub is overflowing because you never do what I tell you to do, which is this and that, which is why the tub's overflowing. It doesn't help anything. That comes into an ego place where you have to be right and the other person's wrong. And remember, what is our collective goal as humanity? It's finding peace, inner peace. Okay, the next one, the third one is stage hogging. This is where you have a story, you're telling your story, and the other person says, oh, you know what? I went to Paris. I went to the Eiffel Tower. And they're like, oh, wait, I was still on the Paris story. Where did you come in? And the first person feels unseen. And that causes a problem. The last one is the most difficult one because we are human beings. It is judgment. Judgment. When we come from different cultures, we were raised a certain way, we live a certain way, and we have innate ability to judge other people within a second. I think it might be 7 seconds, actually. Within 7 seconds, you've already made a judgment about someone. But in our world today, if you think about some of the mainline issues that are going on, you may be on one side of the issue and people you care about and even people you don't, they're on the other side. So what do? You've got to carry the flag and the torch so that people follow you on your side. Why? Why do we have to do this? Why don't we just actually listen to how somebody else feels about something? You know, in the United States, our president, people either love him or they hate him. There seems to be nothing in the middle. And so if you're on one side or the other, you can end up losing family members. It becomes very bitter. People are not willing to hear what someone feels about something. It's just like, you're an idiot, you're a loser, you're wrong, you're that you. How does that help anything? All it does is put a huge wall between you and the other person. So if you do not want to have your life filled with walls, then think about it. I always say these 3 things. Before you speak, is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? And if you think it's true, is it your version of the truth that you've managed to take and twist and manipulate, or is it the actual truth? If you had an unbiased third party come and listen to what the story was, that would be the truth. So sometimes we are so certain that we know what the truth is that it doesn't matter. We have already made up our minds. Now, what are some of these topics? Abortion, right? People on one side of the aisle, people on the other side of the aisle. In the United States, vaccines, one side of the aisle, the other side. Guns. I could go on and on and on, and something might be coming up for you based on how you feel. But whatever it is you're feeling, in order to be a good listener, to be listening at an elevated level, you have to clear your mind. It's almost like you're stepping into a role, and the role is you're giving someone the gift of listening. When you are fully present and giving someone the gift of listening, you might be the only person in their entire life that is doing so. Have you ever been on public transportation or somewhere and a stranger just starts talking to you? They're desperate for someone to connect with them. And you're the listener. And then you get off the plane or you get off the tube or you get off whatever it is, and it's like you never see the person again. And you think, why did that happen? You might have just made someone's entire day. You might be the only person who actually gave them a chance to share how they were feeling. That connects with people on a level that is beyond. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about my second book, which is Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Everything I'm talking to you about today is in there. And I wrote this book in a very simplistic, easy way, so that it's not that you had to take months at a time to try to figure out elevated listening. Can anyone remember what one of the 4 values of listening, elevated listening? How well were you listening, my friends? Stage hogging. Judgment. Without interruption. We've got one more. Come on, guys, the men in the room. You like to do what with problems? That's right. Thank you. There we have our 4. So we can incorporate this into our life. Now, everyone's been really good here, I have to say. Many times when I'm giving a speech, somebody will they cannot control themselves. They have the hand up, and even though you might say, listen, we'll take questions at the end, they've got to get the question out. Is that you in your real life? Are you filled with this anxiety that whatever someone's sharing with you, you have got to tell them how you feel? That is a lack of control. You are unable to control your emotions. And if you think about a small child, that's what children do. They can't help it, but they have a curiosity. We love that curiosity about humans. But as we get older, we lose our curiosity and we become very judgmental. Children do not discriminate. Children are curious. They can't wait to try something, do something. At some point in life, someone told them, stop doing that. You're no good at that. You can't sing. You can't swim. And all of a sudden, everything changes. And then we get bitter. Then we have fear. Then we feel judgment. And as we get older and older, it gets worse and worse unless we work on ourselves. That's why I'm bringing elevated listening today, so that we can be really truthful with ourselves. Are we listening right now? No. Are we listening? Are we listening without interruption? Are we listening without problem solving? Are we listening without judgment? Are we listening without stage hogging? And if we're not, what's going on underneath the surface? Why is it that we can't listen? Start off with setting a boundary. I'd like to share something with you. It's going to take 15 minutes. Is now a good time? Yes, if it is. And no, if it's not. If it's a no, if you are doing something else, it's a no. No long explanations. As soon as you start explaining yourself, listen, the reason why I'm not available is because this, what do people do? They judge the excuse. Oh, so she can't listen now because she's doing whatever. It's never going to be good enough. So what do? You say, I'm very sorry. I'm unable to listen right now. However, I'd love to give you my undivided attention in an hour. May I call you then? I don't think so. I don't want you to call me in an hour. I want to talk right now. I understand that's what you want. I understand that. However, you matter to me and I want to give you my undivided attention. How about I call you in an hour? And they keep going. Finally, they say, you know what? Unfortunately, I have to go now. That's it. Because what's going to happen every time you see that person's name on your phone, you're not going to answer it because they want to go on and on and on. So take the approach to set boundaries because you're doing yourself a favor and the other person. And the reason is because you're showing respect to yourself and respect to someone else. That doesn't mean we're always going to get another person's respect. I really believe when someone shows you who they are in the first 5 minutes, believe them. We don't have what it takes to change people. We can only work on ourselves. Okay, I'm coming to a conclusion, which is my 2 volunteers. One more, please. I lied, it's 3. Okay. All right, we're just going to do this one and then we'll be finished. Okay, Marilyn, I would like you to tell Red about something that, you know what, she's going to do with me first, then she'll do with you. Marilyn, tell me something about what happened to you at the airport. When Marilyn arrived, you went to the ladies' room and then something happened. Tell us about that.
I don't know. They're lost. Oh, recent. Okay. Yes, I got lost.
Come into the frame for the.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about it. You can just. I saw Marilyn. Marilyn was walking, and I called Red, and I said, "Red, what floor are you on in the airport?" And he told me where he was, and he said that Marilyn was lost. So I came out to search for you, and I brought you back to Red.
Yes, a volunteer at the airport. Very, very lucky guy. I mean, I was that he stayed with me. He said, and I'll stay with you till we find your husband.
And see, he listened to you. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, listening. Now, I want you to not listen and fix this and fix it. What should she have done? She shouldn't have gotten lost in the first place, right?
Correct.
Tell her that.
I can't tell them.
It's a role play. It's a role play.
You shouldn't have gotten lost.
I had to go to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom, don't, get where you are. Situational awareness. You got to know where you're at all times. You walk off the elevator, you go right, well, okay, coming back to turn left. Simple as that. It doesn't get any easier.
I just forgot.
How can you forget?
Okay, thank you. That was perfect. Now, this is probably what could have happened if I hadn't been there. But this is what happens in real life, right? So he's worried about her. She's worried. And what ends up happening is it's kind of like, well, because he couldn't fix the situation, you shouldn't have done it. How could you not know? Why are you not aware? But none of that's helpful. You didn't say that, by the way, but none of that's helpful, right? No one wants to be fixed. So thank you for the role play. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. I want to finish this up. I was going to do one on judgment, but I think we'll skip that. So what I want you to take away from this today, for those of you who are writers, is that everything that you need to be an excellent writer, to be a published author, you already have. It's all inside of you. You might feel trapped finding your words because you have so much going on in your life. Sometimes we're so emotional, we're so overwhelmed with feelings of anxiety, fear, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, concern for our well-being, maybe for our family, for our finances, that we become stuck. Take all of that and share it with someone. And if you don't have someone in your life that you trust who will be a good listener, write it down. Write it down, rip it up, burn it up, get it out of your system. If you're into physical fitness, maybe get boxing thing and box the heck out of it. Get all that stress out, but get it out of your body so that you can have your mind open and the writing starts to flow. And when you're ready to get published, if you are interested in self-publishing, I highly recommend this man to help you, Mr. Red O'Loughlin. And if you have a publisher, that's fantastic. Either way that you go self-published or otherwise, you all have stories to tell. And each and every one of you in this room has everything they need right now to be a published author, a #1 bestseller, whatever your goal is. That's not for everyone, but you all have earned the right to share your stories. And whatever that's preventing you, I want you to listen to yourself and get it out. Create a vision board and put whatever it is on there that you want for yourself for the next year, and look at it every single day. I will close with this. When I first started teaching elevated listening, I didn't even know what a vision board was. And I took a yellow piece of paper, lined paper, and I drew little boxes that were desks, and I put little stick figures, and I had 50 stick figure people at desks for 50 people taking my first class. And now I can't even keep track of how many people have taken my class. It comes true. So thank you for listening. Remember to believe in yourself and take what your experiences are and think about how you can share them to leave a legacy of education for other people. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.
Oh, one second.
Thank you, Jacalyn, for your insightful speech and making us understand the importance of full and undivided attention. We often to know that we need to listen to, but we don't do it practically and we don't apply it in our lives. For me, to take away something from this speech is that we can train our mind, and that is possible with the mindful listening. Right? Am I right? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
you, Jacalyn and Sagitaji, for this presentation. अबको पालो हामीसँग अर्को एउटा प्यानल डिस्कसन छ सेलिब्रेटिङ नेपाली लिटरेचर इन इंग्लिश यसको सहयोगकर्ता हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर टिका लम्साल, डाक्टर खेम अर्याल, यसमा वक्ताहरू हुनुहुन्छ महेश पौडेल, डाक्टर तुलसी आचार्य, डाक्टर संगीता सुवेच्छा। यहाँहरू जो कोही हुनुहुन्छ कृपया अगाडि आइदिनु होला। तुलसीजी हामी चेयर अगाडि चेयर बदलाहरूलाई साथी अगाडि चेयर भोलिन्टियर हुनुहुन्छ भने हामीले चेयर हेल्प गर्नु म आग्रह गर्छु अगाडि स्टेजमा। माइकहरू यहाँ
प्रोजेक्ट हजुर प्रोजेक्ट गर्ने कुरा छ यहाँ अलिकति केमा छ त्यसमा छ
हामीसँग माइकको लिमिटेसन त्यो
यसमा यसको फेरि चार्ज छैन यहाँ कस्तो समस्या भयो
यसबाटै गर्नु
योबाट गर्नलाई चाहिँ एउटा एप्लिकेसन छ हैन
एप्लिकेसनको चाहिँ
यो एप डट यो गर्नु त
यो सधैँ
ब्राउजरमा
के गर्नको पर्ने
यो ब्राउजर
त्यसो भए त चाहिँ
You're on camera, you know.
oh sorry
oh
Thank you everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. That's all we have for today. Bye for now.